The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Monday dismissed a suit that governors of the 36 states of the Federation filed to query the constitutionality of regulations the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU) issued to guarantee financial autonomy for local government. The court, in a judgment that was delivered by Justice Inyang Eko, held that the suit lacked merit. It held that the regulations, which came to effect on June 1, 2019, was aimed to ensure that funds meant for local government are paid directly to them rather than through a joint account controlled by governors. The court also stressed that the provisions of the NFIU's guidelines were not in conflict with the 1999 Constitution as amended. Recall that the Nigerian Governors Forum had on May 27, 2019, through their attorneys general, approached the court to halt the implementation of the regulations. The regulations had, aside from setting modalities through which funds could be withdrawn from local government accounts, also set daily limit for such withdrawals. Joining us in the studio to talk about this is Kenneth Eze, the Executive Director, Speak Out Africa Initiative. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning to talk about this.
Thank you, Nigerians.
Well, for quite a long time, this controversy about, states and local government accounts has lingered, and there have been several attempts to, make legislations that will see to it. There have been executive order to that effect to see that, the financial autonomy for local governments is guaranteed. In your opinion, why has this lingered for this long? And before we go into this.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I feel elated, so happy, and I know Nigerians are also happy with the judgment that you've just mentioned, the Federal High Court judgment by Justice Inyang Eko, because we do not expect anything like this. Is like the third one. There have been two previous judgments that preceded this one. The other one of the judges just struck out the suit from the governors. The other one also gave this judgment, reinforced that the NFIU did not go contrary to the Constitution. Then, but because you know that this governors forum, which of course, in addition to the judgment, it was pronounced that they have no local standby, because before the law does not recognize Nigeria Governors Forum, even though they are wielding, unwarranted powers, making things, doing things even beyond the law does not recognize them, and the court has once again reinforced that fact. And so, to answer your question, why this has lingered? Is not the reason is not far-fetched. It's because the governors have been feeding on the ignorance and the loopholes that this has created over time. We've had several governors from cut across political lines, political parties, who had refused to conduct any constitutional local government chairman and ran the administration without any constitutional chairman in power, for the reason to siphon the funds. We've seen it in Imo State. We've seen it in Anambra State. That was the recent government that passed. We've seen it in the north. We've seen it in the west, in several states, in several places. And so when you see this, why it has lingered is that to them, it's just like normal what you are already used to. You never envisaged that someday your captives will be set free. So this is a battle for the soul of the local government. This is a battle for the soul of what is very much essential to the Nigerian people. Because one will ask, for me and for us as Speak Out Africa, we have seen that the local government is supposed to be the most tier of government that should benefit the people, because they house the larger population of the society. How many of us reside in the city? Not up to 25-30% that's reside in the city, the major city. Kano, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt. But go to down to the local government. You see the mammoth population that is there. Who is supposed to be enjoying? Who is supposed to be receiving and feeling the impact? Them, the larger population, more than up to 70% reside that should enjoy the service of the local government. And these people are being shortchanged. And that is the reason why we have what we have seen today. One is a lot of resultant efforts. The federal government is being overburdened with governance. While we are not shielding them from maybe some incompetence or some loopholes or some things they fail to do. But we are also aware that the federal government are also doing a lot. I'm not talking of the government.
Yeah, so another issue is, has to do with the implementation of this. Previously, we've seen executive orders. How sure are we that, the governors will actually even adhere, to these injunctions?
Now they will. The problem about local government, because it is at the center of our hearts, the civil society. We have the local government as our main focus. So we are knowledgeable here, we are working here, we have so much keen about this area. One of the things we find out first is that the problem about local government autonomy is beyond executive order. That is the reason why the question you are posing now, how is it going to happen? But it started with executive order. At least the president showed that willpower to show, yes, I'm making executive order to this. As if that was not enough, then we now had follow-up of other actions like this one now. Unfortunately, it was even the state governments, governors, that took the federal government and the NFIU to court. And that happened when they saw the guideline that was released far back as May 2019, which commenced June 1, the same 2019. That was what brought all these things. And so, because the problem of the local government somehow is constitutional.
Exactly, which brings me to the issue of the constitutional amendments that we've been, making. Yeah. There have been several proposals, to just separate the accounts, and that doesn't seem to fly when it gets to the subnational level.
Now, the National Assembly, the executive, the Mr. President has done his part by releasing the executive order. The National Assembly has also, this year by March, you are also aware that they've also made a very good move, even as against the pressures a lot of from the governors. And they made it clear that the local government account should be separated. They should be given the autonomy, including the judiciary and the state tax assembly. That has also been done constitutionally. So what we are waiting now is a concomitant effort from across the state tax assemblies, because it is constitutional. And when the matter is constitutional, though I'm not a lawyer, it is not just only the National Assembly that will do that, because it has to relate with the states. So the state taxes of assembly as well, you are looking also for 2/3 of them, which is already in equation. So for this, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, this is an excellent victory for them. And like they've stated, the CEO and the DG have stated already that they are going to be monitoring the modalities for these transactions by the local government. And also they've pegged a certain amount that no local government will be allowed to withdraw beyond that, and which is 500,000 naira. This is very necessary because we've seen cases where in one single day, billions of naira was withdrawn from a joint state local government account. Billions. We've seen that cases. And so we know for us, this is a victory, and it's already been implemented. It's not whether it will be.
Now that this has happened, do you see the governors taking it in? You don't envisage a fight from the governors? You don't envisage an appeal by the governors?
No. That is also their right. Just like after 2 consecutive attempts, they still proceeded to federal court. Just like I told you, you will not be happy that your captive is about to be set free. But because this is best for the nation, the local government cannot continue to be muddled, suffocated the overbearing attitude, overbearing influence from the state government has done us, the Nigerian people, more harm than good. Today, hardly can you see, you saw the last speaker that left here, even the local government will construct a culvert. We're talking about some local governments in Nigeria receive to the tune of 200-something million naira. Some local governments per month. Some receive far beyond that. We are not talking about internally generated revenue. When we now talk of local government like 80 local government in Lagos State, the richest local government, they talk of Obiakpo local government. These ones, their internally generated revenue, now talk of AMAC. Internally generated revenue alone is in billions. But these things are not accounted for because of the overbearing influence of the governors. So it is not something we do not expect. If they like, they should even go to the extent of the Supreme Court. But we know
now aside that, I mean, good enough that we have this, court injunction. But when it comes to issue of checks and balance, it's one thing to make funds available to the local government. It's another for them to actually put it to good use. So how, are you concerned about, whether or not these monies will be channeled appropriately?
Yes, in fact, that is a very good question. That is one of the work that the civil society like ours,
you know why I'm saying this is because before you continue, we seem to focus a whole lot on the federal government. Conversations, from civil society organizations, even the media, attention is so much on, what the president does, what he hasn't done. There's less focus on what the states are doing and what the local governments even are doing. So, how do we really monitor and really ensure that whatever that is being allocated is channeled into proper use?
That is a good one. I was coming to that. That is why I said we, the civil society, in our own parts, like when I was starting, I said that too much attention has been channeled at the federal government. And the reason local government is one of the tier of government that thrives in secrecy so much. Let me say that the level of corruption, we are doing our work in local government is where we are beaming a satellite. Recently, we have a project we call Login, Local Open Governance Initiative in Nigeria, centered on monitoring, tracking, and making sure that local government works. Now, the citizen too has a chunk of blame in this aspect because we've not done well in following up activities of the local government. The citizens are even ignorant about what is expected of the local government. And because they are not being monitored, they are not being checkmated, like you said, it is easier. Of course, the normal thing is that if you know you are not under any checks and balances, it's easier for you to do things the way you like. The reason why we are even having it good like this at the federal level is because everybody's eye is on there. So it is high time Nigeria people rechannel their energy more to the tier of government that is more beneficial to them, that is closer to them at their age. By the time we begin to check the local government chairman, we begin to check the councillors, we begin to check them. Now, you will now see that governance, the dividends of democracy, will be getting to us very much closer. And so when you look at, we're not just campaigning or advocating that funds should be given to them directly. Some have come with this school of thought. Who will monitor them? Can they handle the money and all those things? Now, one of the shocking things is that, surprisingly, if you take any local government, we've written to a particular state as demanding for accountability for a space of time. Do you know that the unfortunate thing is that this local government, it is very difficult now to track how much was given to a particular local government because of state government interference. They are meant and compelled to sign what they did not collect.
And then probably poor documentation of some of this.
Poor documentation. They are meant to sign what they did not collect. That is why what we have is sole administrators, what we have
exactly. I was going to that. I was going to that. Even when there's no more joint account. And in most states in Nigeria, a lot of states do not have elected people at that level. And we have caretaker committees solely picked by the governors.
Yes.
And so even when there's no more joint account and this money goes to a local government account, as it were, and it's being managed by people that have been picked handpicked by the governors. Don't you think that they can still take this money back to the governor?
We are coming to that.
Okay.
You know, I told you we have a lot of work. That's why we are pleading. We are pleading with Nigerians to please, let's rechannel other civil society. There is so much work to be done in 774 local governments in Nigeria. Now, one of the things, you know, you cannot solve the whole problem in a day. We are just starting. Nobody has envisaged that we'll be even talking of emancipation of the local government from the canker worm, the big this that have been feeding on them. And we are coming to a point where any local government in Nigeria, the federal government, the accountant general of the federation, the minister of finance, the president, whosoever that become the president must have that willpower, the political power, to the point that any local government that fails to set up a constitutional authority through election, democratically elected chairman, should be denied their local government allocation fund. This is constitution. What I'm telling you now is not, but the willpower is not there to implement it all this while. No local government is supposed to receive 1 kobo, a dime, if what you have is not constitutional elected chairman. No local government. When you do it to local government A, irrespective of the party lines, what will happen? Every governors will now know there is no option again. You must conduct your election. So even as we are talking about local government autonomy, we are still coming to political autonomy. And that is, if you don't have an elected authority in your local government administration, then forget about anything like allocation. When you do that, immediately, and do you know that governments can pay the staff directly without passing through? Because the next question will be, what will happen to the staff of the local government? They won't suffer.
Like they pay teachers now.
Like they pay this can happen. It's just the political power. We'll just be playing with this and impoverishing the lives of the people. So it does not even end in the financial autonomy. And one of the advantages, do you know that local government is very easy to track, to run transparently? Now the NFIU has written, I saw a copy of it, has written to the EFCC long before now, and that all, and ICPC, that all the activities is, because we're not just saying start giving them money direct. We are saying giving them money direct, so that those excuses they are giving, there is not actually what is being released from the Accountant General Office of the Federation, is what we get at the end of the day. So we can only account. Go and pick a particular chairman. He will tell you that if you may have 160 million as allocation to SYZ local government, but he will tell you that what was given to him is 49 million.
Okay, now
But when that is happened, when they now have autonomy, you now receive your money. You account for what you receive. And the beauty of local government, where it is very easy, they do not enjoy immunity. Nigerians have forgotten that. It's not like state governor. You know, a state governor, no matter what he does, you wait till 8 years or 4 years. But for local government chairman, you can pick him the next week.
But another thing is that, you know, right now, there are some local governments that their chairmen do not even stay in those local governments. Now, by the time they get this money that is coming directly to them, don't you see, is there no fear that their lifestyles could change and many of them could actually be moving around the way governors also move around?
I just told you, it's not some local governments, almost all of them. In fact, I told you our center focus is local government. Do you know it takes us most to deliver letters to local government? And in some case, when you insist that you must see them, you are just saying you are not going to submit that letter. You don't see them. It's not just the local government, even staffs. You go to local, you see bush. You as if nothing exists.
So they are governing
because
by,
it's not working.
They are governing by in absentia.
That's what we are saying. It is look. It's time local government begin to work for the Nigerian.
Okay, now do you think
and
that
it's all those things is a process? We are coming there.
Okay.
When we now give you money directly, so you don't have anybody to blame that he interfered in the money given to you. You account for it, and when you account for it, now you know you don't enjoy immunity. It's not like governor that you cannot just come and obstruct. This one, by the time you pick one, local government chairman 1, 2, 3, you will see the kind of sense
because it's important.
The best.
No, because it's important that we understand that these local government chairmen are still Nigerian citizens, out of which we selected the governors or elected the governors that are doing what they are doing right now. So it's not uhuru just to say the money has now moved to local government. There is a lot of work to be done at that level to ensure
so much work.
Accountability.
And so many of them would have done better if not for the unbearing interference of the state government. But they're handicapped.
All right, now, talking about being handicapped, do you see limitations in the Constitution that, perhaps need to be looked into to give the local government some more, responsibilities to be able to do better, to make those local governments even more viable? Like, are there limitations, even as contained in the Constitution as to what the local government can and cannot do? And
of course. That is why I said the problem of local government emanated from the Constitution itself. And thank God that is already been resolved during this constitutional review. The National Assembly have taken the bold step. If there is, among many things, we will be able to say you have done well in this aspect. And so it starts by there are clarity, things that should be clearly said in the Constitution. There should be ambiguity. Because today, you ask yourself, why do the governor go to the courts? They see local government as their appendages. They are not seeing it as a different tiers of government. You can just imagine the federal government seeing the state government as our appendages.
In fact, they accuse the NFI of interference.
That means they are still having that sense of ownership. But even if you have a sense of ownership, does that preclude that you should render that tier of government useless, functionless, impactless, not doing anything, nothing to show? For 7 years, you'll be a governor. The 2 months that you are living, you will quickly run a local government election. Whereas for your 8th year, you did not do anything like election, like we had in Anambra and several other states, and Imo. So the thing there is that the local government, even the aspects, I told you political autonomy, aside after the financial autonomy, the political autonomy, which also includes removing or doing away with what we call state independent electoral commission. As far as we are concerned, they are not doing anything. Have you heard of any local government election in any state that another party won? Not just winning. Sometimes they don't sell form for you. You can hardly buy form in local government election in any state. I'm not talking about whether PDP or APC or APGA or whatever party you call them. Any political party. They will print only one form, and it will be that governor's crony that they want to give to. That is the only person that will buy the form. They won't even sell form to you. So you're not even going to call, not to talk of. And the governor will be the one that will appoint the person, one retired judge or somebody that they will just announce the result. You cannot say, you say 30 local government won by one political party. Local government election is even where democracy starts. That is when you can test run your popularity. Like I am now. If I want to know how popular I am, I should start it from local government.
There are those who argue that the reason why our local governments are the way they are is because of the centralization of power. So they call for separation of powers. They call for delegation. What do you call it?
Devolution of power.
Devolution of powers, right? Taking off certain items from the exclusive list, and then to concurrent, and then residual list and all. So. Do you think that there's validity in that argument, that maybe what will help the local governments to be vibrant is when you allow them certain control over certain resources? Because, I mean, a huge resource is there, at that level.
Of course. You cannot deny that fact. Devolution of power, it has been a burning issue. In fact, we are proposing, I told you that if the potential of the local government is being unlocked to the fullest, the issue of party security will be curtailed. Nigerian problem is rural driven, is local government inclined. It's not something you solve from the central, from federal capital territory. You make pronouncement and you release soldiers and no. If the local government things are done well, aside what we are talking about, does it not? Local government has no #1 to spend in terms of security. Nothing. They are harmless. Because the money they even have is not even enough to even do the things they're supposed to do.
Pay salaries.
Even to pay salary, even to paint. When you see the look of some local government, you will weep for this country. And these are local government that collect 100 and something million every month. Faculty, one of the things we want to be doing is that Nigeria will be doing what we call transparency briefing. Nigeria should be knowing how much my local government receive. Some don't even know that local government gets money. I have an uncle that is late now. Each time he'll be calling you, asking to help this. So you say, well, you are working in local government for 3-4 months, they've not even paid them. Local government will just come and say, give them half of their salary. They say, why? They say they went to Abuja, nothing was given today. So they don't even know how much.
Well, you know, that's
they don't even know what.
But that's one tier of government where there are always reports of ghost workers.
Thank you. Because they are not being checkmated. That's why we say we have so much work. If we do 1/4 of what we are doing in terms of checkmating the federal government, if we do it in local government, Nigeria will be far better than this. It is not that the politicians at the central government are better off than the ones at the local. It's the same, like you said, the same crop of Nigerians. Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's difficult to perpetuate some criminality in a system that works in developed nations like the US? The system will not even allow you. You have to be very smart to manipulate and manipulate and manipulate. So why do you think you see some bill, let's say for example, Electoral Act. It was not intended to be passed. Nigerians rose, somebody like us, the civil society was sleeping, protesting, pushing. When they saw that this is becoming another thing, the doctor hits some persons, we say, no, this is not what we want. From there, all the fight, and lastly, they signed. It is not that they had wanted to sign it. If the local government are receiving some level of attention from the Nigerian citizen, do you know the local government chairman is closer? If I have an issue now, a culvert or a gutter has an issue in front of my house, do you know it will take my local government chairman 15-20 minutes to get there? Do you know there is no way President Muhammadu Buhari can know where I'm staying? It will take somebody else to bring him there. But I will just explain on phone to my chairman. He knows the terrain. That should be the more effective arm of government. So the devolution of power, a lot of things. Nigerians' problem will be solved, several of them. The insecurity we are talking about, because it's local driven. Look at what's happening in something like Anambra. The local government chairman knows the terrain, can fish out, if you empower him, he can fish out now with the partnership of the traditional rulers, whoever is causing problem in the room. But the state governor, from no matter what, you cannot.
But
you only be talking to the media.
I hear you saying, if we do this, the local government will be fine. Do you think that at this point now, there will be that commitment and that will to actually do that so that the local government becomes what it should be?
In fact, it is not. What we say that no matter how you delay a thing that is meant to happen, it is only a matter of time. I am very, very certain. Not just with this judgment, but this judgment has reinforced again our hope that it is time. The time for local government to be allowed to be set to go, to be released.
All right, now,
as called.
Now, why it appears as if we just digress a bit, to talk about the electoral process itself, the recruitment process of installing leaders, across board. Are you concerned about, what's happening now? We have a delegate system now, for instance, that, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that the best of all gets to be in the position, but rather the one who pays the highest. So how do you, reconcile all of this?
This is a very good question. Just yesterday, I was also on AIT. That was in fact, the issue was on this, there's a serious issue in FCT, local government tenure allocation.
Exactly.
We are on that. We haven't been asked to join. We are joining the suits already.
Okay.
Now, in the FCT High Court on this issue, because since a while, we've not seen this kind of thing that just happened.
Yes, what happened in the FCT? It was a bit curious.
Very curious.
You are using a new law.
Yeah.
A new law is being implemented on people who were sworn in on the old law.
This is the same thing we are talking about. Our set of politicians just feel that they can go away with anything they do. They are just causing chaos. As of today, now, morally speaking, the FCT residents cannot lay hold on who is the area council chairman. Though by law, by court pronouncement, they say this the supposed outgone. You came in through Electoral Act 2010, and people know that your tenure start counting, not when you win the election, it is when you are sworn in. Because governors we can win election, and 4 months after, you've not assumed the old person is still there. Like President Muhammadu Buhari will be leaving by May. But election is not going to be by May, it's by February. By February, we already know he's the president of Nigeria, next president. But President Buhari will remain there March, April, May. So you can't ask the person to start counting from even when you want. It is the day you now swear him in. That is the day you start counting. And the Electoral Act is 3 years for FCT area council, which they are aware. Just a handful of them now went and procure a kangaroo judgment.
But a judge delivered that ruling.
No. That is why it is left now for the body, the NJC, National Judicial Council, to now met out appropriate sanction and disciplinary measure. Because the Chief Justice of the Federation has been on many occasions warning judges not to play into the hands of these desperate politicians. And you ask yourself, why did the judgment wait a few days before the timeline? By last week Friday, 20th of May, was supposed to be the era of a new administration. We saw the protests everywhere, showing that the people is about to be murdered. And, you saw people, and I am very glad the way calmness and that things. I know the interested party. And you ask yourself, none of the interested party was joining the case. Not PDP, that was the party there. Not Attorney General of the Federation, the law officer of the country. Not the INEC, who is the umpire that conducted the election of FCT. And not the National Assembly that even made the law. Nobody. That is where people were funny, saying, what kind of funny judgment is this? Okay. And so back to what we are saying, the primary. The bigger problem we are having today is that we have politicians who have no other job except politics. There is no antecedent of where they work. Now you have worked here. If tomorrow you're now into politics, at least they can trace you. Then you have worked with trust. You have done this. Even if you fail, you have a place to come back. But for this set of position we have, there is nothing to go where to. A particular house of rep in Delta collapsed. I saw it in your news. Collapsed because he lost primary election. You ask yourself why?
The desperation.
Because there's nothing. Where is he working? Nothing. Is that politics? Maybe he has been there for years. One of my house rep too, for more than 16 years now. He also lost. But thank God that one did not collapse. So that is one of the problems. Our recruitment process need to be. You don't just pick somebody who has no antecedent. I've never seen how we just tell MTN I want to be CEO and they give me CEO of MTN. There's no antecedent. It is only in politics that I see that you don't bring CV. Your CV is irrelevant. We have seen people from nothing. One governor even told us
there's a screening committee. There's a screening committee of parties that is supposed to screen you.
Those ones who are the people that appoint the same screening committee. Now, the bigger problem we are having, you have just seen the National Assembly shooting themselves in the leg. You made a law and you shot yourself out. Now you are re-amending it. We are just releasing a press statement today, asking Mr. President not to ever give in to the pressure. It is too late to amend or alter that section 84(8). For God's sake, the National Assembly, they have already so much in their hands. Why they are elected? Why do you want to encourage and bring more tasks to yourself? The business of National Assembly member is to make law, not to elect people at the primary. You have not done your business. You're a journalist. So tomorrow now you say you want to go and be selling fish again inside the market. You're a journalist. Be the best of what you are. How much law have they made that affected Nigerians? If not for selfish interest and personal gain, what they feel they want to. Why are you so desperate that you want to go and include the statutory list, super delegate, for you to vote at the primary?
You know why I'm bringing this up, this whole issue of the delegate stuff? It doesn't look like we have people who take ownership of this process, who really understand the influence that they have to change the narrative that that there is in Nigeria's development. They really do not see that. Instead, it is more seen as an opportunity to get monetary gains and all of that. So how important it is for even delegates from the local level to own this process?
Very important. If well utilized, this system currently now, using the elected delegates. I told you, we are releasing a press statement today, using elected delegates. would have been the best for Nigerian electoral system.
And that's also another controversy.
Sure
some of them are not even elected.
Been. I say if well utilized.
Some of them are not even elected. Sometimes the list just emanates from
now. If
just
well
nowhere.
utilized, but the case we are having now is horse trading. I was in your waiting room, hearing that a son of a vice president of this country is asking for people to refund him money, and I say, well, what is the EFCC doing? Tomorrow you go and be boggling somebody. This one is a day, you don't need investigation. As in asking which money. So you are even admitting that you bribe somebody. You know what I mean? That I will now say that I bribed you for you to bring me in here. I will be saying, I say you must give me my money. And EFCC will leave me, ISPC will leave me. By now, I want to hear breaking news that they're on their way to Kaduna to pick him up. So you are even admitting that you gave people money, 2.5 million, and that person now brought 3.5 forward. Us trading. And these things is making the whole jest of the whole processes. I say ordinarily, this would have been the best process. But you know, because of even these same elected delegates, the 3-man ad hoc delegates, have been privileged. We talk with them. Some of them are seeing this as an opportunity to make money that they are going to use to sustain their family for the next 4 years. That is why a delegate will collect money from all the aspirants. There is no delegate that you give money, you tell you I've collected from A, so I will not collect from B. Of course, that will make you easy. You now know those who is with you. They collect money from, because they are seeing these same politicians, they are not seeing them before. This is the same people that will wind their glass up. You not even till now. So they will not even be coming to your house, ask how is your son, how is your this one doing, giving you money. And so the delegate, this is time for them to use their conscience. It's very painful that this is an opportunity for them. Do you know the delegates? They've voted. They are the one making choices for us, the Nigerians. Because we're going to pick from those they are going to bring for us.
All right. Now, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion on the program. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. And if you're just joining, you're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. We have in the studio Kenneth Eze, the Executive Director, Speak Out Africa Initiative, talking to us about a recent judgment by Federal High Court regarding local government autonomy and also the state's local government joint accounts. Now, you know, in the concluding part of the discussion, at the end of the day, it's still very important to, you know, this whole joint account thing, states, states, local government joint account is not working at the end of the day. So as this constitutional amendment is going on, what do we expect from state lawmakers? Because right now the onus is on them to make sure that this happens eventually and then let it have some kind of constitutional backing so that, you know, that there will be, you know, better ways of going about this.
Okay, thank you. What we expect from them is to toe the part of the National Assembly in that regard too, who had already gave their consent that the local government should be allowed to have their own separate dedicated account, single account for them. Just like other tiers of government has theirs. We also expect the State Houses of Assembly should know that it's not about today. It's about the system. It's about the future. Even though they are handicapped somehow, some of them, because they are also a appendage. Some people have argued that they are also appendages of the state government. you see even the laws or things that will favor them, they won't be showing interest. So we also expect them in this constitutional amendment that political autonomy should be given. It is not working. Election, in fact, there is nothing like democracy at the local government election. You go to local government election, it's only in FCT that you even know that they are doing local government election. And the question is why is FCT even better? Because the election has been conducted by the INEC. So we are also advocating the constitutional amendment should also give in to political autonomy. The power should be given to INEC. It's not going to be too much. The moment INEC take that responsibility, we should abolish state independent electoral commissions. It's not working. It has never worked. It's not going to work because of the recruitment process. It's just another extension of state government. So we need that political economy from that angle so that the INEC will begin to conduct elections. Today, you can win House of Representatives from any party because the election is being conducted by INEC. So when we do all these things, they should be rest assured. The civil society, we and others, we are ready to close mark. The NFIU has already told you, they monitor. It is easy to monitor the local government chairman if you withdraw #1.
Okay.
Very easy.
Okay.
They are not as smart as the governors.
You have talked about the expectation from other people. How about the local government chairman? What are the expectations from them?
Wow. In fact, the expectations from them is nothing other than good governance, to live up to expectations. The driving force for even this financial autonomy. Because what is the driving force? Why is NOGE? We have a relation with NOGE, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, the president. Why are they interested and pushing for this? They were joining the case. They went and joined themselves. Some governors refused, and at the end, they granted them permission. What is the driving force? Because their salary are not being paid. The welfare of the staffs is not being looked upon. So we do not expect anything less. We want to see a working local government. As they get their financial autonomy, we want to see local government to work. Come to work when you're supposed to work. Reside within the jurisdiction of your local government. Pay staff salaries. Let your activities be run transparently. Be accountable to the people. Make budget that reflect the hopes and the true reflection of the people you are governing. Make the local government to work.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much.